So just imagine there's a brand new scale, an assessment tool to try to predict suicide risk, life worth living scale. And this scale, imagine it's so new that I just made it up right now because I did. But imagine we have this scale and we ask a person questions, maybe about their adverse childhood experiences. Maybe we ask about how large their family is, how many people are in their social network, what job they do. We'll kind of give rating scales for all these things, how many children they have. We'll even ask them, how many sexual partners have you had? How frequently do you have sexual relations? We'll ask about how much money do you make? What zip code do you live in? And then what's your income relative to the zip code income? And we'll get all these data points. We'll even measure attractiveness. We'll rate you on attractiveness, your height, your weight, your BMI. We'll plug this all into a computer. AI can probably do this eventually, and we'll figure out who's at risk by suicide, and we're gonna call it life worth living scale. Does anybody see a problem with any of that? So there's the obvious problem, but here's the biggest problem to me. There is a false presupposition just in the way this is framed. Thomas Joyner kind of even spoke to this yesterday if you were in his session. In life worth living, there is, if we think about dialectical behavior therapy, one of the things is helping people create lives worth living. That is a very different thing. That's saying that is internal to that person, and it's our job as supporters to help them create lives worth living. It's another thing entirely different to say that it's external. So sometimes when we talk about things like social determinants of health, when we talk about adverse childhood experiences, and we're saying that almost that these things are destiny, that it's outside of people's control, what we need to do is empower people to have that kind of internal locus of control. I'm in the driver's seat. So that's just one thing. We need to be speaking to people from a point of agency, going back to that, but also false presupposition. So if I were to ask you all right now, have you quit smoking yet? Have you quit smoking yet? Some of you might be able to answer that question yes or no. Some of you who've never smoked are gonna say, I can't answer that question. There's a false presupposition. Life worth living, if you believe in intrinsic human value, there is a false presupposition even in this thought process. So here's what I'm gonna say is, it is really important that we meet people that are suffering with an empathic stance that normalizes what they are going through. It is a completely different thing to affirm and validate a false presupposition, a cognitive distortion. So when we speak, we just wanna make sure that we're not perpetuating something that's not true.